Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is a modern technique that they use way too much, I think, in my opinion. But a lot of metal music, you call it more screamo music type stuff. You go from screaming breakdowns into kind of melodic choruses. And I see it a lot nowadays as far as a lot of the touring kind of electronic metal screamo type bands. What they do is they litter their stuff with auto-tune. And basically, that's kind of a trend. You got a lot of rappers now that what they're doing is they throw auto-tune on their vocals way too much, and it's just become a style. I mean, from basically going from correcting just somebody's kind of pitchy vocal techniques, just slight nudging, they've over concentrated their auto-tune stuff onto their vocals just to get that kind of weird rap style electronic music stuff. So basically what I got here is I got a kind of a group where it's a poppy kind of chorus where they drop down into a acoustic, and the guy sings. The guy isn't very pitchy, so it wasn't too bad. But here's what we got. We got a basic vocal. You already took away, and it sounds kind of boxy. So what I'm gonna do is I threw an EQ, lowered some of those lows, got rid of them, so it's a little sharper. You already took away. Even a little bit more. You already took away. Okay, so it sounds a little sharper. Now what I did was I threw a compressor on, not smash ratios. I usually do that, but I'm just kind of keeping the ratio to about 9. Threshold a little lower, and boosting the gain just to compress it a little bit. You already. Okay, cool. So I got that, and then I added just kind of a room tone. You already. Okay, so now we got a vocal track. It sounds good, sounds solid. The guy's a little pitchy, not too bad. What I basically did was I threw auto-tune on. Now, auto-tune could be used for dramatic adjustments or, just kind of regular, just kind of pushing tones back into a thing. Back into a key. So, depending upon what you're playing, you might want to know a little bit of music theory, or get on your guitar or piano or whatever and play whatever, notes you can. Find out the scale, as far as what scale you're in for, the song. So if you see here, I got an old version of auto-tune. They have auto-tune Evo now, which actually has some rap presets where you can get real crazy. But I'll go to the old one just to give you a kind of basic. So what I did was, I'm gonna put this vocal, because the acoustic thing that he drops into tends to be C. So what I did was I put the key at C, I put it in chromatic, the chromatic scale, and you got a list of notes. So let's say, a note was pissing you off, you can actually take it out, by hitting those kind of things. So, that's basically the key. So what you could do is you could have subtle things if you had, the retune to kind of mediocre and, kind of relax. You can kind of see what it's like if, just kind of a subtle push back in. So check this out. You already took away. Okay, so if you notice there, up here you can actually see, zero cents, as it's called, is actually perfect tone. If it goes to the right, it goes to the left, it's a little sharp, a little, flat. So what you're doing is getting it pushed into the right note as far as into the center of the 0. So go ahead and watch that again, and you'll notice how, there's a little bar that goes back and forth to show you what the original tone was off and how they're pushing it back in. So check that out. You already took away. Okay, so, it's pushing it back. What I do, though, in a drastic way is I turn the retune to fast, but I don't put it too fast. I put it back maybe 4 or 5, just so it's got a little leeway. I make the notes very choosy, and this is where you get into that kind of modern-day rap kind of auto-tune thing. So what I do is I actually throw one on, and then I duplicate it. I throw 2 auto-tunes on with the same kind of thing, maybe make the first one super choosy, super fast, and then the second one, kind of mediocre and a little more relaxed. So now you got that kind of modern day auto-tune kind of sound. So check that out. You already took away. So you're starting to notice kind of that electronic sound. Newer, auto-tunes, you can actually, add those presets and then distort it, make it real crazy. You also have an option on all the versions, for vibrato, kind of square or stuff like that, where it adds, kind of that vocal breathy sound to make it sound a little more realistic. So, You are ready. And that's just dramatic. I just push that up real crazy just to show you the difference. You would want to use that more sparingly. You are ready. And I feel like that sounds like shit, but You are ready. So there's a couple options you got if you're trying to go all crazy, but my suggestion is use auto-tune sparingly. Keep it in kind of a slow, relaxed thing. Find your key so it pushes it in. Your singer sounds solid. If you want to get technical, you can get into graphical, where you actually can track your pitch. You are ready. It'll draw lines up as far as what notes you're trying to hit. C's, D's, stuff like that. So you could literally, get in and just start penciling it all in. The newer versions are better at that. So I suggest doing that. Doing the graphical thing. It's kind of a pain in the ass because you got to track the pitch, and then come back. But definitely cool. If you're in kind of a quick mode or you're trying to go for that modern day, rap sounding thing, then just stick with kind of your super fast, choosy thing and just litter your auto tune like crazy, and then you'll end up with that kind of electronic sound. You are ready, took away. Okay, but another thing you got to be careful of is and this angers me as a professional engineer, is when somebody tries using auto tune features, but they don't really know what notes they're playing or what they're trying to do, and you hear kind of this like wah 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 kind of back and forth shitty sounding thing. Like, let's see if I could. You are ready. Let me make this a little more hardcore. You are ready. Now that's a visible wrong note that you're trying to push in. I hear a lot of amateur engineers that throw that in. Really angers me because I notice it because I do this for a living, but they just didn't get the right notes. So. You are ready to that's basically you're just way off, as far as picking what scale you're in, stuff like that. So be wary, if all else fails, pick a chromatic scale, go through it, and you'll notice not really any changes, in that shitty sound. So be careful of that. But once again, find your scale. Pick your input type if you're a low vocalist, alto, soprano kind of thing. And if auto's not working for you, if you want to get more elaborate, go into your graphical and then, track the pitch. You'll see what it goes, and then you can get that kind of thing. But as far as, modern music, modern day, they're just littering their music with just over auto-tuned, setting the scales, and then, just way too much. You are ready, took away. So you can get, more elaborate, throw it on, and then get that kind of, auto-tune sound that's real popular nowadays via that kind of thing. Just super fast, choosy, and then just way too much auto-tune, So, I'll even just, for fun, take off all my plugins. I'm just wondering, I don't know what this will do, but let's see what this sounds like. You are ready, took away. So I mean, I don't have my EQ on, so it sounds like shit now, but you notice how, mechanical and robotic the voice starts sounding. So the more, kind of intense stuff you throw on it as far as auto-tune, you get that basic, new style.